Alright, so at the start of the resolution step, the game board is actually reset to its initial position, and you start moving this resolution marker along these tracks until you get to the end or until you're destroyed. And each icon makes you do something specific. So the first icon, the yellow icon, means that the threat with that time code appears if there is one. So because this shows a 1, it means any threat with a T+1 that's on the board will move onto the trajectory board now. It won't start moving yet though. The blue card icons here mean that all of the players take their actions. So starting with the captain and going around to the left, each person flips over the card in that space, in this case the space marked 1, and they take that action. Next, this pink and green icon means that you compute damage. So any lasers that were fired or any rockets that do their damage or anything like that, you count that up for each individual threat and you do that damage. So when doing damage to threats, first of all you compute the total amount of damage, then you subtract the amount of shields they have from that, and that gives you the total damage that you actually do to that card. So for example, if you did 4 damage to this card, you would subtract 2, meaning that only 2 damage got through its shields, and you place 2 red cubes there to denote that. Finally, the red icon means that all threats currently on trajectory boards move a number of spaces equal to their speed, and in addition, on turns after the first turn, the rockets will move, which is just shown by the icon here. The only other icon present on the board is the computer icon. Now, if you have gotten to this point and nobody has taken a computer action and placed a cube here, that means everyone's action is delayed. When actions are delayed, that means that all of the actions on a player's action board are pushed forward. It should also be noted that at the end of the board there are actually 2 movement phases stuck together here for the threats. Now, rockets will still get to damage them in between, but you do have to account for that, so they get to actually move twice before you get to the end. And if you actually make it all the way to the end space, then you've won the game. Alright, so in closing, I really love this game. It is a great game. It's innovative, it's new, it's fresh. The whole soundtrack idea and just how crazy frantic it gets, it's just, you know, an amazing experience every time.
Absolutely.
The only things I don't like about this game are, for one thing, it can get very difficult. Until you've got a lot of experience and have played quite a few times, you're probably going to lose.
A lot.
Yeah, and in addition to that, it's very hard to introduce newer players to, like people who are new to the hobby are going to run screaming from this game, especially when you tell them that you have to teach them 3 or 4 lessons before they get to the real game. So, you know, that's where I'm at. It's a great game, but it's hard to break into.
Absolutely. I agree with everything Jason is saying. The nice thing about it, though, on top of that, though, is that the games are actually relatively short. If you are introducing people, as I mentioned before, it only takes about 10 minutes to actually play a game, and maybe like 20 minutes to resolve it. You can usually get about a run of this in about a half an hour. So if you actually have a couple people who are willing to play a few games of it in a row, you'll actually get to some, like the regular games pretty quickly. Just like Jason said, really hard to introduce new players to because of this aspect. It's really challenging too. You're constantly being bombarded by these threats, and just the slightest change can throw off your entire scale, and then the game is pretty much over from there. It's just a giant snowball effect until you just eventually lose. Alright, so what do you think, Jay?
Well, I'd have to give this game a 4 out of 5 meeples. Like I said, it's a great game, but it does have a couple of flaws.
I'm kind of debating this. I am going to also have to give this a 4 out of 5 meeples. It's a fantastic game. It is so much fun. It just loses a little bit of points because of the fact that, well, again, hard to introduce new players and very challenging. Alright, so that gives us a total of 8 meeples.
Alright, so that's all for today, and join us in our next episode where we're going to be doing Robo Rally.
See you next time.